going to put the brakes in maintenance mode, what you do is you push down the parking brake, the emergency brake, and you hold down the gas pedal at the same time while you cycle the key on to just turn on the accessory, just the electricity, not the engine. So you just turn it on to the accessory. When you do that, you'll see that the computer in the dash shows that the brakes went onto accessory mode. Now let's try it. Let's try it out here. Okay. Let's see if I get a good angle. I'm pushing down the brake, and then I'm pushing down the accelerate pedal down there with my foot, and then I'm going to cycle the key on. I wait 5 seconds, I cycle off, and then I cycle back on. And as you can see there, it's telling me park brake maintenance mode. Okay, you just hit OK, and it's on park brake maintenance mode. You turn the car off and you go do your brake job. Then when you're done with the brake job and you want to bring it back to normal mode so the brakes work on you, you do the opposite. So instead of pushing down the emergency brake button, you pull up on it while you do the same steps in reverse. And I'll show you that right now. Now to bring the brakes back to normal mode from maintenance mode, you press on the brake to get the fluid back into the calipers, to the piston. Once you feel the pressure back, because the first few pumps you'll see that the brake pedal goes far and then the fluid goes back in, and then you're gonna start feeling the resistance. Now that you have that, cycle the key on. You should still see maintenance mode. You see park brake maintenance mode. Now you hold the brake pedal, the accelerator pedal down while you pull up on the emergency brake, and then you cycle the key after 5 seconds. So here it is. Cycle off, cycle on. And now you can't hear it because you are way over there, but the little motors in the caliper right now sounded. It makes a noise. So that'll tell you that you're back to normal. Now you could turn the car on and see that it's not warning you that it's in maintenance mode. You could press the brake, you could put the car in drive, roll it forward, see that it's not giving you any warnings, and you are back to driving normal. And that's how you go in and out of maintenance mode. You want to go in and out of maintenance mode for this reason, and this is I went through this personally. If you do not do this, like I did a few months ago when I changed my brake pads, then what you have to do with the rear caliper is the piston isn't just a normal piston that you push down. That piston needs to be rotated at the same time with the special tool. It has nipples on it that fit into the piston receiving holes, and then you twist it with a ratchet wrench, and after you twist the piston, then you push down on the piston. And depending on how worn your brake pads were, you may have to do a series of twist and push on the piston. I had to do it twice. I had to do a twist, push, because the pistons were out that far, because the brake pads were so worn when I changed them. And that's what maintenance mode avoids. What I like to do first is I like to break open the nut, and once it's broken open, I go on with my impact driver to remove it all the way. Now, for safety reasons, I put the wheel under the car. Just in case the jack fails. And now I don't have jack stands either. I know everybody's gonna get on me for not having jack stands, but I do have a bottle jack, which I'm adding for support also, so I'm doing that without the jack stands. The rear caliper pins that you unscrew here uses a 7mm hex head or Allen head, and when you put them back, the torque specification is 25 foot-pounds. The bracket, which is this metal piece that holds the caliper on, is this 15mm socket. 15mm socket. And the specification for the torque when you put it back on is 70 foot-pounds. Okay, it's coming off. Here you can see it's backed off enough. And now for the next one. They get pushed out of the way. There they are. Here, these brake pads are the old ones. However, I just changed them a few months ago and they're not so bad. Just need to sand them down a little bit. Here I have 60 grit sandpaper. Just gonna go forward and back. So I get a smooth surface, that looks flat and almost like new. That looks good enough. And now for the other. This one had more of an imperfection on it. But it's going very well. That looks pretty good. Now we can use them. Now to remove the bracket itself, you're gonna need a 15mm socket like this one to fit right in there. Now these may be old and haven't been removed for a long time, so what you can do is add an extra pipe to your wrench to add leverage, which is what I'm gonna do. There we go. That wasn't so bad. All right, there's the bolt. Finish the top one. Bracket removed. Rotor removed. There's the old stuff. Now what I'll do is hit this with a metal wire brush and then treat it with some anti-seize. Here's what I was talking about earlier in the part where I talk about the maintenance mode for the brake. If you don't do it, these notches right here need a special tool, something like this cube, and this cube is full. Each side has a different measure of these nipples, and the right nipple size will fit right into this space, and with the ratchet you twist and it makes the piston rotate, and as it rotates it pushes it in, but then it stops at some point and you got to use one of these piston pushers to keep pushing it in, and then it'll stop because it needs another series of rotations, and then you push again. And that's what happened to me the first time. New rotors have to be hit with brake clean, because if you can't see it here in the video, sorry about it, but there's oil that comes with the rotor. That's to preserve its shelf life, and so it doesn't rust while on the shelf waiting to be sold. So you gotta hit it. Brake cleaner. Give it a wipe down, because you don't want any of that oil to be there when you install it and have the brake pads sitting on it. Okay, that feels about dry. This stuff evaporates very fast and is real good at removing oil. Now the bracket could be put back into place. The first time I tried to get the caliper back on, the piston was still too far out to get it on, so I had to use my piston pusher. Right, get the bolt covers back on, these little snap in pieces. Put the brake retainer clip back on as well, and then the wheel can go back on. For the front rotors, the same needs to be done. We need to remove the two 7mm hex head or Allen head pins, and we have to remove the 19mm socket bolts. The caliper pins take a 7mm hex head or Allen head to remove the pins. When you put the pins back on, the torque specification for it is 30 foot-pounds. The bracket requires a 19mm socket, and when you put it back on, the torque specification is 75 foot-pounds. Remove the cap. 7mm hex head. These clips must be removed as well. And it's off. Now don't let it hang by the brake line. Find a place to have it suspended up. For the front rotor, turn the wheel out towards you after you've taken the wheel off, so that you can fit your wrench in there and really break those bolts off, because they're really tight. And so you need to turn it so that your wrench can fit out of the wheel well, so you can have the leverage to break those bolts. All right, I've taken the caliper off, the bracket off, and the old rotor, and now with the put the new rotor in. Same sanding I did in the rear, do again in the front. That looks pretty good to me for that one. This is what it looks like before. And I'm happy with that. Bracket goes back on. wrench. There it is. There it is, 900 inch-pounds or 75 foot-pounds. And now the caliper will go on with the brake pads. Okay, those are both finger tight. And now for the torque wrench. Again, 30 foot-pounds for these pins. With the rotor, bracket, and caliper back on, return the caliper retainer clip back to the front, and you can put your wheel back on and you're done.